Welcome everyone to Overcome Podcast, episode 34. Today I have someone here to talk about not only her fitness journey, but the many things that she accomplished over the years, and talk about longevity as well. My friend Vicki Diaz, thank you for being here today.
Hey, Yuri. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited that we finally got to this coordinated.
Yes. Thanks for taking the time on Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Vicki, I know you for probably 10 years since the old days at Destination. And when we were talking, me, myself, and other friends, we always talk about how throughout the years you were so consistent on your fitness journey that you were always looking like you were 2 weeks out for a show. How is that even possible? How did you just stay lean all year around?
Well, thank you for that compliment. I would say I'm a little more like 8 weeks, not 2 weeks. I tend to thrive in environments with discipline and structure. And I like that with my food as well. Over the years, I've learned what my body functions best on, what foods I shouldn't have. But so with that, I really don't deprive myself of anything. If there's something that I really want or crave, I have it. I just know when to say when and keep the portions under control. But I definitely, and people ask me all the time, they say, do you have a strict diet? Do you ever have a cheat meal? And honestly, I have cheat meals probably 3 times a week. And I don't really like to use that term cheat meals. Honestly, I feel like any food, within moderation, almost any food, you can have anything as long as you know how much you should be having and it's not taking over your life. And I think I've just kind of been disciplined with knowing, like what I feel best when I eat. And for me, I know I'm going to feel crummy if I just take a couple days and pig out on whatever, donuts and cookies and pizza and all of that. Instead, I just have it when I crave it and then I put it away and I'm fine.
But it was always like that, or you learn how to have this control over time. And the reason I'm asking this is because some people, when they are in the beginning of their fitness journey, they feel like they have to stay strict to that diet, otherwise they gain weight. Some people actually gain weight by just having one cheat meal. They gain a lot of weight, or the muscle definition fades away. It looks like you don't have this problem, but is this because your level of maturity in this sport is already in such a way that you can do that, but in the past when you started, you really didn't do that?
I do think having a good solid foundation of muscle and muscle maturity, having trained for over 25 years now, has given me a good foundation of muscle, which obviously is going to boost your metabolism and you can handle. Your body's a little more forgiving when you've done that. And so when somebody gains weight initially, when they first start a diet, it's important to not get overwhelmed with it and understand that when you take on a fitness journey and a health goal, you really want to look at it as a marathon. I'm all for short-term, really strict diets. Say you're getting ready for a contest or you're getting married or a beach trip or whatever, however, you need to learn how to pivot and then live outside of those strict goals, because it's not healthy, and 2, mentally, it's not good to constantly feel like you have to deprive yourself. And I think sometimes too, people equate that strict dieting with success, because it got them from point A to point B, the goal, whether it be just to, lose 50 pounds or to get on stage, but then they continue to equate that with success. And unfortunately, you have to look at it as, okay, now how do I start incorporating more variety of food into my life and not make dieting your entire life? And one thing I really work on, especially with my clients, is that we want to work healthy habits, both eating and movement and exercise, into your life rather than your life being surrounded by your life being controlled by fitness. So your goal, finding things that enhance your life, you're going to have much more longevity than just trying to work your life around a fitness goal. Because if you're spending your day going, okay, I've got to work out here, and then they're just, especially busy moms, and I work with a lot of moms and women that own businesses, and they get pretty overwhelmed when they have to look at, okay, I've got to do some cardio, then I've got to meal prep, then I have to do my weight training. All of those components are very important. But instead, I try to go, okay, how can we take those components and incorporate them into your life so your priorities as a mom, a business owner, all of those things still become priority number one. But then you're finding ways to just sprinkle in fitness or sprinkle in eating healthy. And ultimately, if you've got the right balance of all of those, and I use that term loosely because there are times where it is a little unbalanced and a little overwhelming. But if you can find ways to just sprinkle it into your day, and not make it such a, it shouldn't be a bad experience. It should be fun. It should be enjoyable. And again, the goal is to stay healthy, fit, and live the life you want to live, and use fitness to do that.
In the beginning, you were more focused on really the fitness aspect, or you started with the mindset of competing? I'm not sure if you started as a competitor and then you became more a lifestyle, or was the other way around?
So I was a gymnast throughout most of my childhood. And then once I left for college, I didn't have that goal anymore and that structure and the workouts. So I had actually then stumbled across fitness competitions. I had enjoyed weight training, and I was training at a gym in Oklahoma while I was in college, and somebody approached me and said, hey, I know you do gymnastics and you enjoy weight training. And at the time, he was a power lifter, so we were lifting pretty heavy. He said, why don't you try a fitness competition? And I didn't know anything about it. I went into it very naively and ended up winning that competition.
Oh, wow.
And it was just the pure joy of being on stage and having that goal and performing and doing what I loved. I loved the weight training, and I loved the structure of the nutrition. So it gave me a place to do that and really kind of thrive in that environment. And I was hooked after that. And I know you've done competitions yourself, and you can probably attest to that as well. It's fun and it's addicting, and you kind of get this high of being on stage. And so I first was drawn into competing, but not for the sake of, oh, I want to, chisel down my body. It was really more of, I loved the fitness routine. Yeah. And I wanted to do that. And the gymnastics part was easy for me. The dance that accompanied that was easy. So it gave me kind of a stage and a platform to really kind of be this alter ego, so to speak.
But throughout the years, you changed division, didn't you?
I did. So I did fitness through the 90s. And at the time, there was only bodybuilding and fitness available for women. So I did my first show in 1993, and then actually had my first daughter in 1994. 10 months later, did nationals in fitness.
Wow.
And then I did quite a few more shows then after that, up until I think my last show would have probably been 1999. Anyways, and then got just busy with life and other goals at that time, and re-enter. And then fast forward about 2012, Women's Physique came on board. And I initially was thinking that I would do figure. And I approached a friend of mine who was a coach, and he was kind of the guy to go to, Jeff Dwelly. And I said to him, I wanted to do figure. And he had encouraged me to take a look at this new division called Women's Physique. And I said, no, I don't want that much muscle. There's no way I could ever do that. And I pursued it. Had so many people tell me, there is no way that you will ever be able to compete with girls like that. You will never succeed in women's physique. And that really was just this seed that just sprouted in me that there was no way. You're going to tell me no. Let me prove you wrong.
That's amazing.
So I was determined to succeed in women's physique, and did my first show again in women's physique in 2013, and then turned pro in 2014
In physique.
in women's physique.
Amazing.
Yes.
That's amazing. That's truly amazing. I remember that journey. And if we compare, you were on stage during the time that you got your pro card, and now, what is the difference in weight? Do you have a close weight from the weight that you had on stage, or not really?
I would say now I probably weigh what I weighed on stage going into a prep. I always stayed about 8 to 10 pounds within my stage weight. So I really didn't have a lot to lose. For me, it was more of an issue of continuing to gain muscle and stay full. My body's the type that just didn't want to really hang on to muscle. So I had to eat a ton, which is I think kind of the hardest part, getting in all the food. It wasn't so much the restriction of contest prep. It was trying to eat all the food that was required for me to have enough energy to get through workouts and stay full and time the carbs appropriately so that I had the fullness that I needed on stage. So
Yeah, but you are kind of gifted for your body type, right? Because as you say, you were having hard time eating the amount of food. Some of the people is exactly the opposite. Mainly when they are cutting to prep, they have to eat a whole lot less.
yeah, I mean, it's everybody and that's one thing about competition. And I tell people all the time is that not everybody is totally different. You may have the perfect diet. One perfect diet may work for somebody but it just may not work for somebody else. And every prep you do is going to be a little bit different as well. And some things you do, I don't know how many shows I've done, but it's been quite a few. And I can honestly say every prep has been a little bit different because your body evolves each time you do it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Because as I said, you were always looking that you were ready to go. Probably not 2 weeks, but at least 4 weeks out, you were always ready for that. And I was reading the other day a blog from your website. The title of this blog is "Aging Younger While Pursuing Fitness Goals," and you talk about the longevity aspect, and I think you really walk the talk because you are able to show that with time you can still, and with age you can still make your body respond in such a way that you keep your flow and a healthy diet and exercise routine, everything on point. So what is really the mindset to keep this over time, knowing that, for example, and I'm 46, and I truly feel that sometimes to me the recovery is a little bit longer. If I compare, for example, when I was prepping for a show when I was 40, and when I prepped for my last show I was 45, and it was like, man, it's different. It's different. The response is not the same.
Absolutely.
How do you handle that? Do you also feel that your body doesn't respond as fast, and then you have to make some tricks?
Absolutely. And Yuri, what you were describing is what I've definitely been describing is I've had to really pivot and make recovery a priority. Things like I really, especially during COVID when the shutdown happened, did a lot of yoga too. So everything from yoga to soft tissue work, having a good chiropractor, sleep. I mean, sleep had to definitely go to the top of my list there because, when we're younger, we can push through days where we've only slept 4 and 5 hours and then work and then train and be a parent and all of those things. Oop, thought I must have lost you. Okay. But as we get older, I mean, our body's just going to be a little less forgiving. So we definitely have to prioritize recovery with that. So also understanding that we need a lot of variety in our foods, and the foods that you may have been eating during prep, you need to sometimes take a little break from that. Like I noticed too with chicken and certain foods, I had to really back off and then start incorporating foods that were maybe a little higher fat, like salmon and beef too. Yeah.
No, that's and also as a bodybuilder or an athlete that competes, we also avoid a lot of fruits, and there's a lot of benefits in eating fruits. Do you incorporate more fruits now that you are not competing?
To be honest with you, I never stopped eating fruit, like blueberries. I just am selective in the fruit that I have. Like I always believe in keeping blueberries in my program, even as close to a competition as I can. Obviously, it's a controlled amount, but I feel like you have to look at the nutritional value in the foods that you're taking in. And that's especially important in off season too, because you need that recovery. And I try to look at foods. I mean, food has different value, right? It has both the emotional value, the pure enjoyment of eating something. It reminds us of family, and certain, there's an emotional tie to it. However, there's also food as something that's going to provide nutrition and fuel your body. And so two, if I want to be my sharpest when I'm working, sharpest when I'm at home, have some energy when I'm at home, and be able to get through workouts and have recovery from those, get a little more selective with my foods. And it's not that I'm depriving myself. It's just looking at, okay, I know I need 30 grams of carbs after this workout. Is that going to come from a donut, or is that going to come from rice? So it's looking at what nutritional value I'm going to get from the food and what's going to serve me best and allow me ultimately to have the longevity, because, this is something I want to be able to exercise, work out, lift weights. I love being in the gym. And this is something I honestly want to be able to do for a long time. And if we don't respect our body and give it some grace and understand that not every workout is going to be a 10, we can't go beast mode every workout. We need to be okay with maybe a good steady run of 7s, like where we're getting the workout in, it's just finding ways to change the workout and change the exercises. We're maybe a little more respective of the range of motion. And so finding ways that we can both get the most out of our workout and recover from the workout, because if it takes us 2 weeks to recover from leg day, we're obviously not going to have the progress that we want to continue to have.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. And I think somehow COVID taught us a lot about that, because a lot of people were working out from home. Some people like you have your own gym at home, so you can do a lot of things on your own gym. But some people were basically doing bands workout, and there's a lot of value on that. And I saw many videos that you put out during COVID, training with no weights or training with bands. I think it has a lot of value from to diversify the training. As you said, you cannot go beast mode all the time, mainly with age.
And I will say, Yuri, this has been an interesting observation, and I have clients that come and train with me in my home as well. Taking the time to get off of the big equipment, the leg presses, the hack squats, the fixed path machines, has actually helped me considerably, and helped some of my clients too that have had orthopedic issues. So it allowed us to really work on things with kettlebells, dumbbells, bands, and do some corrective work. Whereas if we're in the gym and we're just, our go-to is what we know, we're going to go sit on the leg extension, or we're going to go, hit the leg press. It doesn't, sometimes our imbalances aren't as apparent when we're on there. So I honestly feel like, and this was actually an experiment that I did during COVID. I said, you know what, I have a rack. That's what I'm going to use for my leg work. And I had some kettlebells. So I hadn't really squatted in quite some time. So I said, okay, my goal during COVID is just to get really good at the skill of squatting again. And so I started with the bar, and then I would just gradually add little small amounts of weight, and I would record myself doing it just to make sure the range of motion and everything looked as I felt like it was going to be. And I honestly got so much stronger. I detached my glute back in 2014. And so it took me a while to recover from that injury. It had caused some hip issues. And I guess the silver lining of training at home gave me an opportunity to work on some weaknesses there, so that now that we're fully back into gyms, I'm feeling a lot stronger. And I feel like that's actually allowed my physique to improve because I'm no longer hiding behind the big movements.
Yeah, and a lot of
So
people also invested time to work more on mobility. I've seen a lot of people doing more mobility work, which was pretty rare in the past. But now is everyone wants to do mobility work.
yeah, I think there is so much benefit in mobility work, and obviously even more as we're getting older, because if you think about the things that we want to continue to do, to squat, to press things overhead, I mean, as the shoulders and the hips, we put that impact on them. We want to continue to be mobile and healthy throughout those joints. So that definitely did give us an opportunity to do that. And and COVID, it was a time that really, as things shut down, I saw, unfortunately, a lot of people shut down too. And fitness really, or not just fitness, but taking care of your health, both mentally and physically, I think really gave us an opportunity to have that outlet, so that now that things are opening up again, we feel we can recover better, and we can kind of step into life now with a new perspective. So having fitness, I think, some people just completely stop, but the ones that were able to do even minimal work, even walks outside, I think have a new kind of leash on life now.
Yes,
to
absolutely.
kind of go out and do better.
Now, for someone that already accomplished so many things in this industry, like you did, got your pro card, many competitions in your belt, what keeps you motivated to continue to improve? Because in the past you had goals very well established. You wanted to compete, you wanted to look in a certain way, to be on stage, you wanted to get your pro card, and then you wanted to get your pro debut. So there was always something, you were always chasing something, right? Now, what you're really chasing, right? What really moves you to keep going and improving?
I've learned that my life is just better when I take time for workouts. I mean, those workouts look a little different than they did even 5 years ago. So it's, and goals are going to change as life evolves. So do your goals, so do your priorities. And that's okay. I would like to be on stage again. I don't know when that would happen.
Oh, that's good news. I thought that you were retired on front stage.
I mean, I don't feel like I've retired. I still have the mindset of wanting to. And I've always, and I had a conversation with a friend of mine who was a competitor, and I said, "Oh, how do you know when it's time?" And and they just said, "Well, you're just going to know." And so I don't have that feeling just yet. So I feel like there's a little more. So I don't know. We'll see. I need to get the eating part right.
What do you think, Vicki? That's about this new division called wellness. Do you like that?
I think it is. I love the physique. The physique is so beautiful. The legs, the glutes, the hamstring development, the balance that these girls have in their lower body is just phenomenal. And it's meant to be a somewhat unbalanced division where the upper body is smaller. Waist is small, but lower body is just solid and strong. I think beautiful. It's so beautiful and so powerful. And I love that this division is taking off the way it is. I think it's going to take some time here in the U.S. for it to really become what it is, because this division was in, like South America and
it was very strong in Brazil.
Yeah, absolutely. And those girls are just amazing. And I do think that it's going to catch up. And I think it's going to be one of the top divisions. As you see, like, Pittsburgh Pro was just a couple of weeks ago, and the girls were, that was a huge division. So I'm excited to see it. I think it's definitely a body type. It's not something that you can just, so like bikini, for example, you can just say, okay, I want to do, say I'm a newbie and I just want to do a show. I can, train. If I enjoy training hard, I can train hard for, a year and diet accordingly and do fairly well. However, and I think wellness just it's going to take some time to really get that density of muscle. So it's just going to take more time. And I think the girls that are kind of devoted to that and really want to, they gotta love training legs and training hard like that, they're going to do really well.
Yeah, no. In Brazil, it was very strong, and
Mm-hmm.
everything was for the body type of the South America. I would say girls, as you mentioned, but having NPC bringing to US, I think it was great. I think it's a very interesting division for sure. But you are not. If you ever compete again, you're gonna stay on your division, right? You want to continue to get better where you are on your division.
My division or possibly figure, I'm not sure yet. Women's physique, as every division for women, every year it continues to change a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Women's physique right now, they're carrying the top competitors are carrying a lot of muscle. I don't think I'll put on that much muscle. Nor is that a look right now that I personally want to attain. Figure may honestly be a little more realistic right now, but I like to just train and see where my body wants to go rather than me just getting fixed on one division. And this is when I talk to clients too, I'm like, let's just train and see where your body likes to go. If your body wants to gain muscle, then we're going to push you towards those divisions where that you carry a little more muscle. If you want to be a little more lean, then maybe or you have you like that smaller, more curvy physique,
Right.
then maybe bikini's the way. So I feel like kind of where my body's settling now is probably figure.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I'm pretty sure that you're gonna do pretty well wherever you go. So that's a fact. The other thing that I would like to explore, because you just mentioned that you had a injury in 2014. It was during a workout that you have that injury, or it was doing something else? How that happened, and how long it was the recovery? I mean, did you have to stop training completely?
I honestly don't know. There wasn't like an event or something that's memorable where it tore. I was training to get my pro card at the time, so I was hitting it pretty hard, and I kind of had blinders on and wasn't really listening to my body. Just kind of like when you get in that athlete mindset and you're pushing, and I know this goes for any sport, you just you get the job done, you do what you have to do. And so somewhere in that, I had overused it. Probably the mobility wasn't probably there. And it did detach. There was a time, and this was shortly after I'd gotten my pro card, that we learned of this injury where I just couldn't walk anymore. So.
Well, were you already in pain? That's how you realize something is wrong.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was very painful. And then finally got an MRI and got a good diagnosis. I didn't have to have surgery, fortunately, because it had detached, but it hadn't pulled away.
Oh.
So it was probably a good 3 to 6 months before I could train legs. Yeah.
Then how did you fix that? If you didn't have to have surgery, just time to heal?
Time. Yeah. I had to be very patient. It was pretty frustrating, but I really focused on my upper body. I'm kind of a taller girl. I have long limbs, so my arms definitely needed some more work. So it gave me an opportunity to work on that, and then was able to come back and compete at the pro level. And then it took a couple years, obviously, then for me to do well enough to start placing in the top 5, and then ultimately make it to the Olympia. But it's healed, fortunately. I mean, it does act up a bit, but which is another reason why I really want to stay strong throughout my entire body and stay functional. I like training sometimes, doing more athletic type things just so I can keep moving. And it's not just doing bodybuilder type workouts, but things that are going to keep my body balanced.
Was that one of your most serious injury that you had, or you had anything that completely stopped you from training, for example?
That has been, knock on wood, unfortunately, my only real injury. I had an injury when I was a gymnast. I was about 14. I had ankle reconstructive surgery.
That's amazing, Vic, because 25 years training and you are injury free. What is the secret for that? Because most of the people that I talk with on this podcast, they always had something, a surgery on the shoulder, a problem in the back. There is always something, right? And looks like, although you push yourself many times, you were, very fortunate to not really have any injury. There is any particular thing that you always do to avoid that? If it is a great warm up, if it is a stretch, I mean, what do you do to prevent injury?
I think having a solid, like being able to do mobility work before workouts, mobility is awesome, but I think people can obviously overuse it a bit. I mean, I try, now it takes my warm-ups, about 15 minutes before a workout, where I try not to let it go longer than that, because there for a while it felt like my warm-up was longer than my workout. But, I've just really learned to listen to my body. There are days, like I know when I can go in and just like crush it and really try to lift heavy and hard when things are feeling good. But then I really have to listen. I really have to listen when I know I haven't had enough sleep, when, I'm just not feeling hydrated, or if, things are just, if my hip is cranky or my knee is feeling off. I've learned to work around those injuries and not, and I say injury, irritation.
Right.
I mean, there are things that could lead into injuries. And one thing, so back in, and this is actually one thing that got me back into competing, was I was teaching an outdoor boot camp. This was at 5 a.m. and I had done this for a couple of years, and I started having heart palpitations and could hardly breathe. So I had gone to the emergency room, and prior to that, I'd had a heart murmur as a child, but it had never been an issue. But went to the hospital and learned that I had some valve issues and pulmonary hypertension several tests later. So I really had to, right then and there, and sitting in doctors' offices of countless specialists next to people with oxygen tanks, I, at that moment, decided this is not me. I'm going to take care of my body physically, mentally, control stress, control what I can control. And I'm going to use fitness to help me stay young as long as I can. If I have this issue, which is a heart issue, I need to find a way to respect my body, basically be responsible for my own stress levels and gauge the intensity of my workouts, know when I can train hard, know when I need to back off. And so to this day, that's been something else that's always made me want to continue to not just have physique goals, but have health goals. I still have physique goals and I want my body to look a certain way, but ultimately I want to go do what I want to do when I'm 80 years old and not feel like I'm too weak or not strong enough or I need oxygen to get through my day. So as long as I can feel like I have some control over that, then that keeps me going too.
And how you overcame that problem? Because it looks like you don't have this anymore, right?
Oh, it's still an issue. So it's not, they had said to me, the doctor said, as long as you can maintain your weight and maintain an active, healthy lifestyle, then we're just going to monitor this and you'll be fine. If I were to, have an unhealthy lifestyle and things go the other way, then this could be more of an issue. But for now, they've said my lifestyle, I'll be able to manage it and control it. And then, they have surgeries and procedures if we need to do anything, but that is, knock on wood, hopefully much, much longer.
Yeah. And this is your lifestyle. So, not see any change, and you are very conscious about your eating habits, because it's not only about fitness, it's also about nutrition. And you do a good job on that. So I don't think that you ever gonna need any procedure for that.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope not, and I don't, and I haven't really shared that publicly with anybody because I don't want that to ever be. I want to be very independent and always be strong, and always be able to live the life that I want to live and be active well into my
Well,
senior
but
years.
thanks for sharing with the audience, because I think it inspires people to sometimes change habits, right? Because sometimes some people that are listening to this and they might relate to that, and they say, well, it's possible to have a healthy lifestyle and manage problems that otherwise will require surgery, right? So I think it will inspire a lot of people to change their habits.
Absolutely, and I think it comes down to responsibility. I mean, it's you kind of know, what do I need to change in my life to have more longevity, to lose the weight I know I need to lose, to get stronger or have a physique goal or whatever that is. It has taught me to be responsible and to not put it on anybody else but myself. I have a choice every morning to get up and choose a good breakfast, and then go about my day where I can control what I can control, work out appropriately, not overtrain, not undertrain, but figure out, and it takes some time to figure out what that is for you. And that's, with my clients, one thing I really try to help them do is how are we going to make this work for you? Not just here's the recipe. It's what do we need to do to make this work for you? And then we build it from there. And that's kind of what I've done with my life too. I mean, when I stand next to another competitor, and they've got their own set of challenges, they've got their own set of weaknesses, and it's just how do we navigate through those so that it doesn't take over our life, but yet we can kind of can conform this life into what we want to get out of it.
Right.
And I'm all for hardcore goals and training hard and dieting and getting on stage, but then how do we pivot and get on with life too? And then because the healthier your body is, then it'll cooperate more for whatever goal you have.
Yeah, because I've seen also in this industry a lot of bodybuilders, mainly in the beginning, men and women, that were so tunnel vision throughout a prep that they isolate themselves from others, even from their own family. I've seen some marriages just completely tear apart because of a prep. And it's complicated because you are risking everything, and sometimes it shouldn't be that way. You should be able to do everything in a very well balanced way.
Yes. And I mean, ultimately, you want your partner there when you're done with the competition. I mean, the competition's short term, and so I've been married 21 years this last month, and I've always said, if my family knows I'm prepping, then if I'm visibly, hangry, whatever, and they know
Grumpy.
I'm prepping, then it's time to stop. Like, if I can't be the person I am, then I'll know it's time to stop. And so far, I feel like I've been okay. I mean, trust me, I've been the person with the Tupperware at family events and things like that. And you just got to learn, if you're going to do that, you just got to learn to be discreet. It doesn't need to be a big ordeal. Do it discreetly. Nobody needs, you chose that, that short-term goal of being strict and not participating in whatever, birthday cake or whatever. So just don't make it a big ordeal for everybody else. I mean, I'm all for moms and dads. There we go. I'm all for moms and dads prepping. I think I absolutely 100% think that you can have a career, you can have a family and prep, but you also have to consider the timing of it.
Yes.
It may not be the right time for you, or, if you want to do it, then let's just make sure life is ready for it. And your crew is on board with what you're about to do. Right.
Yeah. Because isolate and not being social is terrible. At the end, you look back and like, wow, was that really worth? And that's the worst feeling ever, right? That you accomplished something, then you look back, well, like, wow, I damaged so many things to accomplish this. It feels like it was not worth it, right?
I mean, it is a sacrifice, but I think if your plan is done right, you'll be able to have partake in the birthday cake or whatever event it is. I mean, to where it's not like you're making this big scene that, oh, mom's dieting, so she can't do this. I mean, you don't want to um, not be a part of those life celebrations and those life events.
Right.
You can prep around them.
Now,
It's going to take, maybe some discipline the day before or the day after, but those events, a couple bites of everybody's prep is different, but I found that if you can plan for it, it's usually going to be okay.
and a good coach, because because there are coaches that will make you feel guilty just because you went a little bit outside of the meal plan, and there are others that will be way more understandable about the situation, the scenario, and will try to help you psychologically. Because one of the work that I think I appreciate a lot about coaches is to work on your mental aspect. It's not only about the physical and the training. The mental aspect is very important, and some coaches can drive you crazy, while others can calm you down.
Yeah, of course. And you have to have a coach that is kind of, I always recommend people talk to several different coaches and find one that you like. Just because somebody has, dozens of competitors that are pros doesn't mean they're the right coach for you. I mean, you have to talk to them about what your priorities are in life. And, there are times when, some preps are harder than others. Say it's, you're getting ready for nationals or something like that. And then, it's got to be a little stricter because we're kind of stepping up the game. So if you want to play on that stage, then you need to kind of step up to that level again. So it's just kind of depending on where you are with that.
As a coach, have you ever had a situation where you actually had to tell your client, hey, let's stop for a moment. I think you are going a little bit beyond on your attitude, or you need to slow down. Did you ever ask someone to slow down because they were going a little crazy?
Yeah, and a lot of times with new competitors too, they're following a meal plan and they're taking your advice and your suggestions. And when you say to them, hey, I need you for the weekend to back off your diet a little bit, don't go to the gym, if you start to recognize signs of overtraining and their body's not responding. And sometimes the act of just resting and taking the pressure off, and they'll actually respond and do better. So typically it's having people, they're going, and just they need that mental break for a little bit, and they come out of that, and they're so much stronger. They have new energy, and just their minds are so much clearer too. Yeah.
No, that's true. That's true, because the body it looks like the body just does not respond anymore when you achieve certain level of stress. It happened to me many times that I had, and that's why I know that you don't like this word, but that's why the cheating meals sometimes help so much, because it's not only about the taste, it's more about the psychological aspect. Like, oh my God, I'm having life again.
Yeah. No, absolutely. There's so much of it is mental. I mean, the big part of it is mental. Overcoming when your body says no, and kind of pushing through and pushing past that is, part of it. And not every day is easy. Some days it's hard, but to make the choice to get out of bed and continue on with what you need to do and the plan and staying consistent. And that's another thing that you had mentioned with longevity. One of the things that I found too is just being consistent. It's not being, beast mode every workout. It's just being consistent over a period of time.
Right.
That's when your body continues to respond.
True. Now, you have online clients, but you also have personal clients that you go to the gym and you train them. With COVID, you probably, during a certain period of time, you couldn't have those experiences anymore because the gyms were closed and everything. So you were basically doing everything online. I'm not sure if you ever had Zoom sessions or things like that. But now that gyms are open again, do you feel that the whole Zoom experience is going to continue, or nothing really will replace the face-to-face experience of training someone, besides that person? Because I have my personal opinion on that, but I'd like to hear yours on this.
I think that there is face-to-face training. There will always be a need for that. Nothing will ever be able to replace that. There is, and I'm old school, so I've been a trainer for like 26 years now. So, I mean, my roots are face-to-face, no phone, there's no social media, none of that. So it's very much interactive and me giving immediate feedback to my client. And it's a relationship where I'm giving instruction, they're doing what I ask. And then it's just a constant back and forth of how do we make this better for you? And you can't replicate that online. So I think there will always be a need for in-person training. I do think, though, the online space is something that has been very convenient. People are learning that the time it takes them to commute and go to the gym is not worth it. So they can get a good workout in at home and learn how to use what they have. And I think that's really good. I think COVID too brought in a group of people that wouldn't have normally exercised at home. They would have had a reason to, I think busy moms, it's easy for them to go, oh, I got kid stuff, blah, blah, blah. And so everything kind of slowed down. So I think people that normally could have worked out at home actually started doing it because it became the norm. Everybody was, there were so many, you flip on Instagram and there's a workout, or you can YouTube a workout. So I think it's allowed more people to do that. And I think it became an outlet for a lot of people. It was so interesting during COVID watching the creativity of the workouts that were out there. Some of it was pretty scary, like almost comical, because you didn't want people to get hurt doing it. But hey, if you look at it, I'm like, at least they're moving, at least they're having fun, and they're smiling, and they're involving their kids and all of that. Like that, we just weren't doing that before. People weren't taking the time to laugh and play. And there was a ton of stress with COVID, and I still think there is a lot of stress with COVID.
Mainly outside of states like Texas, Florida, that are still closed, and even other countries. For example, some gyms in Brazil, in some states of Brazil, they were closed until 2 weeks ago. So there are many countries that are not as open as U.S., in particular Texas, and they are still with restrictions at the gym.
Yeah, and one thing that I don't think gets talked about enough, unfortunately, is the high rates of depression and people just shutting down. I think the stress, whether you've had COVID or not, I mean, the economic stress of it, the uncertainty of everything that was going on in the past year, I think really heightened it. And so when gyms shut down, it took away a lot of the social interaction that people were used to. They thrived on that. They needed it. I have clients that were going through cancer, and then when gyms shut down, they couldn't. They had nothing, to actually do other than walk outside. So it gives them an outlet, and many times, not just the exercise, but the time with peers and seeing people and having
having conversation, interactions, and just experience something else. That's the whole thing about the gym environment, and that's why I fully agree with you that it will never be replaced, the in-person experience, because it's much more than just getting a workout done. It's the exchange of ideas, is the facial expression, is a hug, is the contact, the physical contact.
Absolutely. And I hope that, and it feels like now people are getting a little more confident in going back to the gyms. They seem to be a little more busier than they were. Like each week when I go in to train clients, it seems to be busier and busier. So it's great to see that people are feeling a bit more confident going in. And, it's just go with your comfort level. If it's just you getting there and hopping on the treadmill for 20 minutes one day, then that's fine. And then gradually, work into what you feel like you can do.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing, Vic. Thanks for your perspective on that. And thanks for taking the time again to to join and share your vast experience in this field. I think a lot of people will benefit by listening to your words, and we will get inspired by everything you said. So keep up the great work. Keep up those videos, very creative videos about different types of workout. I truly appreciate that, and everyone does appreciate as well.
Thank you so much, Yuri. I had so much fun talking with you. Yeah, had a great meeting.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Vic. And everyone, thank you for joining another episode. Stay tuned. Make sure to subscribe to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube to receive notifications when we upload new episodes. See you again next time.